So we're at the end of the book now. What do I do now? Well, I go back and I review, and I get it so that I play everything better. And there are certain things that are easier to you and to myself, or there are certain things that are harder. So you review more the parts that are giving you problems, but make sure you review everything. To continue getting better at reading, what it said on page 123 was very, very important. Find material to read. Not just material to practice, but material and melodies to read. The more melodic and the more rhythmic these melodies will progress to, the better you'll be able to recognize almost any type of rhythm, and you'll be able to play the notes without looking or searching for them with your eyes. And how do you do that? Also, you practice these major scale fingerings. It is important that you practice these 5 major scale fingerings. In the book, it is called 4 major scale fingerings, but I'll call it 5 because we have 2 types of fingering type 1. Let's go to the second position. To me, there are 2 fingering type 1s. One is C, that's 1, and then there's 1A. There's fingering type 2, fingering type 3, and fingering type 4. From these fingerings, you will be able to play eventually 12 major scales in one position. But that's in another book. Get these fingerings down. Start to get the notes on each of these positions. You should be able to read fairly well in second position, and not as well in third and fourth or first position, but continue working at that, and you'll be able to read all the way in keys from this position to this position. Also meaning that you would be able to read melodies that have a range from here to here, because that's the fourth position. It will become clearer as you start to get more used to these major scales, the fingerings, the fretboard, the notes on the frets, the chords. Speaking about chords, here's another thing about chords. You have mostly learned chords that have either the root or the fifth in the bass. To hear the chord, it is easier to hear these chords as they should be heard with having either the fifth or the root in the bass. There are other chord forms, or even these chord forms will give you other chords that we would call the third in the bass. In other words, let me show you something. Here's a G6. We can also call this an E minor 7. But, you know, with the note this low, this G, we're going to really hear that as a root. Now, if I played E minor 7, let's say here, and then played this, they sound related, okay? You will get more into chords with different bass notes, the third in the bass, sometimes the seventh in the bass, eventually. But first get these chord forms that you have learned in this book. And basically, the root of these chord forms are either on the 6th string, the 5th string, or the 2nd string. So review those chord forms. Let's get back to the major scales. Now that we know 5 major scales in one position, you can do this on your own, or when you get into book 2, and this is how book 2 starts, you can now play one scale in 5 different positions. Just by remembering where the roots of each of these scale forms are, and finding the root. Well, let me demonstrate. Here's a C major scale. We know that one. Fingering type 1. Remember that fingering type 2 had root on the 6th string with our second finger. Let's find C on the 6th string with our second finger. Now we can play C major scale here. Fingering type 3 had root on the 5th string with our 4th finger. Well, let's find C with our 4th finger on the 5th string. We can go all the way to this C. Fingering type 1A had root on the 6th string with a 1st finger stretch. Let's find C on the 6th string with a 1st finger stretch. And fingering type 4 has root on the 6th string with our 4th finger. Here's C. So now I'll play C in 5 positions. 2nd position, 5th position, fingering type 4, 7th position, 10th position, which is here, and we stretch, and 12th position. So you don't accomplish this without reviewing, and reviewing. I would break this book in 2 sections, as we have in this time that I've spent with you, and review, let's say, all the technical exercises in the first part, the picking etudes, and start to read in first position right from the very beginning for part of my exercises. And then the other part of my practicing, I would go to the page 60 and review from there on, where you start with the in position movable scale forms. So I wish you good luck with this, and good luck with your guitar playing. And now we're all students of Bill Levitz. Thank you very much.